Hi everyone, my name is Candace, and I'm going to be telling you all about Kelly Yang today. She is one of my favorite middle grade and young adult authors, and I think everyone should know her for many reasons. So, one of them being she won the Asian Pacific American Award for her book called Front Desk, and I'll be talking to you a little bit about that in a minute. So, who is Kelly Yang? So, these are real photos of her. Many of them are taken in front of the motel that she actually lived in when she came to America. So, according to her biography on her website, frontdeskthebook.com, she immigrated to America when she was about 6 years old, and she grew up in Southern California, where she and her parents worked in three different motels. She overcame poverty to go to college at the age of 13 and law school at the age of 17. Crazy. She is a graduate of UC Berkeley, where she majored in political science, and Harvard Law School. After law school, she gave up law to pursue her passion of writing and teaching children writing. So, one of the awesome things that Kelly has done is she has started the Kelly Yang Project. So, it's a reading and debating program for kids in Asia. So, the kids can receive English enrichment classes, one to one achieve. So, basically, like one on one tutoring, and then also admissions counseling. So, what I love is that she's not just focusing on teaching young children how to read and write, she's also following their journey all the way up to when they are going to go to college and also helping them become the young adults that they're about to be. So she has written many novels. This is just a little bit like some of the ones that she's written recently. So Front Desk was her first novel, and then that's part of a series. You can see it has that nice shiny metal on it. And her second one, or after that series, or in the middle of the series, I should say, she wrote New From Here, which had to do with the pandemic. And then finally Seen. And I'm going to talk about her newest one in a minute. She also wrote some YA books. So I'm going to talk to you about Parachutes in a little bit, but her book, Private Label, is her most recent YA book that she came out with. That came out in 2022. And it's about a girl who dreams of making couture dresses even more stunning than her mom's, because her mom also makes dresses. But her mom is suddenly diagnosed with cancer. So now Serene has to take over her mom's business while trying to also like follow her own dream of becoming like independent. And then also she's looking for her father. She doesn't know who he is. He lived in Beijing, but she's not sure what happened to him, and the mom's like doesn't really want her to try to find out. So this book really has to do with finding like refuge in other people. It has a little bit of love in it too, falling in love, and also navigating life changing events. She also wrote one nonfiction book called Yes, We Will. So it's about Asian American change makers doing everything they dreamed of and inspiring all of us to reach for new heights. So each spread is illustrated by a different renowned Asian American or Asian artist. So it follows like a kind of a poetic text, and it includes one line biographies of the person or the historical moment featured on the page. And then readers of all ages can find something in this book for them. And I do use this in many different displays in my school library throughout the year, because you could use it for Asian Pacific Islander Month, but you could also use it for if you're doing like a display about following your dreams or something like that, because it really has to do with people just succeeding in life. And you can see that Kamala Harris, Yo Yo Ma, Peter Tsai, and her are just a few of the people that are mentioned in the book. So, one thing that I love about Kelly Yang, besides just being a fantastic author, is that she takes on real world issues such as racism. So, during the pandemic, she and her children actually experienced a lot of hate. She would actually be stopped in the street and spit on. People would yell things at her about like go back to China, or take your COVID and go back, and just were really really nasty to her. So she wrote a book called New From Here, and it focuses on a boy who moves to the US from Hong Kong because of COVID, because it's starting to really ramp up there. And in America at that time, it really wasn't a thing yet. And he endures bullying because he is Asian. So his dad still lives in Hong Kong. He's here with his mom and his brother and his sister, and he's just having a really hard time dealing with it. So it's a fantastic book that I really encourage everyone to read, just because it has to do not only with seeing what the pandemic was like from someone who's Asian American, but also just, I don't know, just seeing how we could possibly nip not racism in general, but like just situations that might arise from like something like a pandemic that might have started in Asia, just how we as adults could try to nip it in the bud and educate our children or our students a little bit better so that these bullying experience wouldn't happen as often. I'm not to say, I'm not to say that wouldn't happen at all, because unfortunately that's not true, but it's just a fantastic book. And she also took to Twitter. So she was and still is very active on X, and she advocates for Asian Americans. Well, it advocates for everyone, honestly, like just everyone just being nice, being good humans. But she posts a lot of interesting things on there, and she's not just the kind of person to post things that she doesn't know are true. Like, she does her research, she posts factual things. So she's just a really fantastic person to follow in general on Twitter or on social media. So one book that she wrote most recently is called Finally Heard, and it has to do with children and them using phones and how it can be a real detriment and to children in general. So not just because of bullying, which can happen through social media on your phone or through texting and things like that, but she also gets into family time, like how phones can cut into family time. So what I love is she wrote a book about this, and she is, if you look her up right now on Twitter or X, sorry, I keep calling, I don't know if I'll ever call it X. If you look up on her account, you'll see that she's constantly posting things of her visiting schools or creating videos that she includes her daughter on, because her daughter really wants a phone. She's like at that age where she wants one, and she kind of created this book for her. So she just advocates for teaching students the disadvantages of using their phones all the time, and she does it through this book. So the Front Desk series is based on her own life, especially the first book called Front Desk. So the girl in the book is Mia, who's 10 years old, and she lives and works at a motel in California. So she goes to school, and then she does her homework, and she runs the front desk. So it's a really fantastic story. She meets a lot of different people, like people that live at the motel, people that just come and go, and she's really proud of her job. But she wants to be a writer when she gets older. And her mom isn't really too keen on that idea, because she doesn't really think that she'll be able to make a living that way. And so it's not just a story of her working at a motel. It's also a story of bullying, racism, and her following her dreams no matter what. So these are just some reviews of Front Desk. I just wanted you to see them, so you could see that like Booklist and Kirkus have given it, starred reviews, and it's just, I really can't say enough about it. It's just such a great, fantastic book. So new from here are some reviews again. So in the middle one, I love, it says a pandemic book that is also a story of the importance of family, friendship, and standing up for what is right. Another knockout from Yang. So that was by School Library Journal. So this book, Parachutes, was her first YA book that she wrote, and it's about teenagers, like they're called parachutes. They're dropped off to live in private homes and study in the United States while the wealthy parents remain in Asia. So Claire, the main character, never thought she'd be there until she had to, her parents moved her from Shanghai and enrolled her at a high school in California. So she finds herself alone in a stranger's house and no one to tell her what to do. So she actually starts loving it, because now she's independent. She's with like this really, like the popular guy at school, but the host sister that she lives with, isn't really too keen on her living there. So this story honestly is based a little bit on an incident that happened to Kelly when she was enrolled in law school. I'm not going to tell you any more than that, but it's actually like based on a true story and has something to do with sexual abuse. So I'll just leave that there. So if you, just so you know, if that does have something to do with that. So if you don't like books like that, then I wouldn't read this one. But for any of you who feel comfortable, it's a fantastic book. So here are some reviews for Finally Heard. As you can see, it's a realistic chapter book, has likable characters, a series of obstacles, so kids can really relate. Like that's what a thing I love about Kelly is like I can relate to it being in my 40s, but kids can also relate to it. Like she views these things through children's eyes, and I really think her kids help her to do that. So why should you know Kelly Yang? Well, for all the reasons I just said, but she writes books for children that center around poverty and racism, which many children can relate to and or learn from. She writes books that teach students about kindness and the power of the written word. Her websites support not only children, but educators as well. So each one of her books has a teaching guide, has questions, has background information. Like her website, she has two websites, one that's dedicated solely to like the front desk series, and then another website which includes all of her books. But she just really, she loves librarians. Like she had, if you look her up, you'll see that she says that her librarian is the one who got her going, like is the one who helped her when she moved here and she didn't know English, and she was dressed in like, ratty clothes, secondhand clothes, and people were making fun of her, and she found the library as her safe space, and her librarian made her feel safe and encouraged her to write. So I really hope that you check out Kelly Yang and her books if you haven't already.